The school had been closed for 12 years, but it still breathed. Officer Daniel Kerr felt it the moment he stepped through the broken doors, the stale exhale of dust and damp paper, the faint chemical bite of old cleaning agents trapped in cinderblock walls. His boots echoed too loudly, as if the building resented the intrusion. Somewhere deeper inside, his canine, Ash, stiffened and growled low, a sound that vibrated through the leash and into Kerr's wrist. Schools were supposed to be loud with life. This one listened back. And whatever waited below had been waiting a long time. The town of Black Hollow sat in a shallow valley where the hills pressed close, as if keeping secrets. One main road cut through it, flanked by a diner, a shuttered hardware store, and the municipal building with its crooked flagpole. At the far end of town, past the last mailbox and the rusted cattle gate, stood Black Hollow Elementary. Condemned. Closed. Forgotten. Daniel Kerr parked his cruiser beside a line of weeds that had once been a playground. The swings were gone, but their chains remained, tangled together like rusted fingers. Wind pushed through the tall grass, producing a whispering sound that set Ash's ears twitching. "Easy," Kerr murmured, resting a hand on the dog's neck. Ash was a sable German shepherd with a white scar across his muzzle, earned 3 years earlier during a narcotics bust that had gone sideways. He was older now, slower to rise, more deliberate, but his instincts were sharp enough to cut glass. Kerr trusted them more than he trusted his own. The call had come in that morning. Anonymous. A woman's voice, steady but strained. "There's something wrong with the school," she'd said. "You need to check the basement." That was it. No name. No explanation. Black Hollow didn't get many anonymous tips. It didn't get much of anything. Kerr had been transferred here after an internal review in the city, a polite way of saying he'd been in the wrong place when a department scandal broke. Not guilty, exactly. Not clean, either. Black Hollow was where careers went to fade quietly. He clipped Ash's leash and approached the entrance. The glass doors had been smashed years ago, plywood covered one side, while the other hung open, its lock broken and useless. Someone had been inside recently. Tire tracks cut through the dirt. Fresh. Ash pulled forward, nose low. Inside, the air changed immediately. Cooler. Heavier. The smell of mold and wet plaster layered over something older, iron, faint but persistent. "Track," Kerr said softly. Ash moved ahead, claws clicking on linoleum. The hallway stretched long and narrow, lockers lining the walls like teeth. Children's drawings were still taped to some of them, colors faded to ghosts of themselves. Stick figure families. Smiling sons. A banner sagged overhead. "Welcome back." The irony was sharp enough to hurt. Kerr's radio crackled. He muted it without looking. They passed classrooms with doors ajar. Desks stacked haphazardly. Chalkboards still bore half-erased math problems, as if the day had ended abruptly and no one had come back to finish it. In one room, a globe lay on its side, Africa staring up at the ceiling. Ash stopped. His body went rigid. Hackles rose. Kerr felt the shift immediately. He tightened his grip on the leash. "What is it, boy?" Ash whined once, low and uncertain, then turned his head toward the far end of the hall, toward the stairwell that led down. The basement. Kerr had been down there once, years ago, during the official closure inspection. Boiler room. Storage. Old records. Nothing remarkable. But that had been before 12 years of silence. They descended slowly. The stairs groaned under Kerr's weight, each step a complaint. The smell intensified, damp earth now, mixed with something chemical and wrong. Halfway down, Ash stopped again. "No," Kerr whispered, though he didn't know why. "Keep going." The basement door stood open. Inside, the lights were dead. Kerr switched on his flashlight, the beam cutting through dust motes that hung motionless in the air. The room was larger than he remembered, divided by concrete pillars and shelves stacked with decaying boxes. Ash pulled hard, dragging Kerr toward the back. "Easy," Kerr said again, but his voice lacked conviction. The beam swept across the floor and froze. Scratches marred the concrete. Deep ones. Parallel. Like something heavy had been dragged repeatedly across the same path. Kerr swallowed. "Jesus," he muttered. Ash barked sharply and lunged toward a closed door at the far end. Metal. No label. Kerr approached slowly, heart pounding. He placed his hand on the knob. Cold. Locked. Ash barked again, more urgent now, pawing at the door. Kerr drew his sidearm, the familiar weight grounding him. He kicked once, twice. The lock gave way with a shriek of metal. The door swung open. The smell hit first, so strong it made Kerr gag. Rot. Chemicals. Earth. His flashlight beam dropped, and caught on something pale. Bones. Small. Too small. Kerr staggered back, hitting the wall hard. Ash growled, low and furious, standing protectively in front of him. The room beyond was narrow, unfinished. The floor was dirt, uneven, as if recently disturbed. Several shallow pits had been dug and filled. Kerr's hands shook as he keyed his radio. "Dispatch," he said, voice barely steady. "I need backup." Black Hollow Elementary. Basement. Static crackled. Then silence. He tried again. Nothing. No signal. Ash moved forward, sniffing, tail stiff. He stopped at one pit and sat, staring up at Kerr. A trained alert. Kerr knelt slowly, ignoring the scream in his instincts. He brushed dirt aside with trembling fingers. A small shoe emerged. Pink. Glitter still clinging to the toe. Kerr closed his eyes. "God," he whispered. Footsteps echoed above. Kerr spun, gun raised. "Police," a voice called down. "Daniel." Sheriff Martha Hale appeared at the top of the stairs, her wide frame filling the doorway. She was in her late 50s, hair pulled tight, eyes sharp and tired. "What the hell are you doing down there?" she demanded. Kerr stared at her, then pointed with a shaking hand. "You need to see this." Hale descended, slower now. Her flashlight swept the room, and stopped. She didn't speak for a long time. "Close the door," she said finally. Kerr blinked. "What?" "Close it," she repeated. "Now." Ash growled. "This is a crime scene," Kerr said. "We need state police. Forensics." Hale's jaw tightened. "You don't understand." "I understand just fine," Kerr snapped. "There are children buried in." Hale grabbed his arm hard. "Daniel," she said quietly, "if this gets out the wrong way, it will destroy this town." He stared at her, disbelief giving way to anger. "Someone already destroyed it," he said. "You just buried it." Hale released him slowly. For a moment, something like fear flickered across her face. "You don't know who you're accusing," she said. "Then help me find out," Kerr replied. Ash barked once, sharp and insistent, and moved toward another pit. Hale followed the dog's gaze. Her face went pale. "Daniel," she said, "we need to leave. Right now." "Not happening." Footsteps sounded again, more this time. Voices. Town voices. Familiar ones. Hale turned toward the stairs. "They're here," she said softly. "And they don't know yet what you found." Kerr looked down at the dirt, at the shoe, at Ash standing guard. Then back at Hale. "Someone does," he said. "Someone wanted this found." Hale didn't answer. Above them, the voices grew louder. And somewhere in the building, a door slammed shut. The basement door closed with a sound too final to be accidental. Daniel Kerr snapped his head toward it, gun raised, heart hammering. Ash spun in the same instant, teeth bared, a deep warning growl vibrating from his chest. The sound echoed against the concrete, swallowed by the damp air. "Who's there?" Kerr shouted. No answer. Only the faint creak of the building settling, wood and steel shifting like old bones. Sheriff Martha Hale stood very still beside the open pit, her face unreadable. If she'd heard the door, she gave no sign. Her attention remained fixed on the small shoe half buried in dirt, as if looking away might make it vanish. "We're not alone," Kerr said. "I know," Hale replied quietly. That answer chilled him more than the door ever could. Upstairs, the voices grew closer. Men and women Kerr recognized, local volunteers, a maintenance worker from the water department, 2 town council members who never missed an opportunity to insert themselves into police business. Someone laughed nervously, the sound bouncing down the stairwell. "They shouldn't be here," Kerr said. "This is an active scene." Hale finally looked at him. Her eyes were bloodshot, rimmed with exhaustion rather than surprise. "They came because they were called," she said. "By who?" She hesitated. That hesitation was enough. "You knew," Kerr said slowly. "Or at least, you suspected." Hale exhaled, a long, controlled breath. "I hoped I was wrong." "That's not an answer." Before she could respond, footsteps hit the basement stairs. The first man appeared, a thick-set figure in a reflective vest, sweat darkening the fabric under his arms. "Sheriff," he called. "You okay down here?" Hale straightened, authority settling over her like armor. "Everyone stay back," she said sharply. "This area is restricted." The man stopped short, squinting into the dimness. Then his flashlight beam drifted and landed on the disturbed earth. "What the hell?" he murmured. "Back upstairs," Hale ordered. "Now." Murmurs rippled behind him. Curiosity pressed forward, dangerous and unstoppable. Kerr stepped in front of the pits, gun lowered but visible. "You heard her," he said. "Leave." Someone pushed past the man on the stairs, a woman in her 40s with cropped hair and a stiff posture. Linda Carver. School board chair. Her eyes moved quickly, taking everything in. Then she saw the shoe. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God," she whispered. Hale turned on her. "Linda," I said. "You said the basement," Carver interrupted, voice trembling. "You said if anyone ever looked too closely." Silence fell hard and sudden. Kerr felt it click into place. "You called this in," he said. "Anonymous tip." "That was you." Carver looked at him, eyes wet. "I couldn't live with it any more." "With what?" Kerr demanded. Hale's voice dropped to a warning. "Linda." Carver ignored her. 12 years ago," she said, words spilling now, "when the school closed, there were things we were told not to ask about. Missing records. Maintenance logs that didn't line up. Children who transferred out but never enrolled anywhere else." Kerr felt Ash lean against his leg, steady and warm. "Who told you not to ask?" Kerr asked. Carver's gaze flicked to Hale. Then away. "The town," she said weakly. "That's not good enough," Kerr replied. Hale stepped forward. "Enough," she said. "This conversation is over." "No," Kerr said. "It's just starting." More people crowded the stairwell now, drawn by tension they didn't yet understand. The air grew thick, heavy with breath and fear. Hale looked at Kerr, her jaw set. "Daniel, if you push this the wrong way, you'll burn everything. Including yourself." Kerr met her stare. "Maybe it needs burning." For a moment, he thought she might draw on him. Instead, she turned away. "Clear the building," Hale said to the crowd. "Now." Reluctantly, they retreated, confusion and dread following them up the stairs. The door slammed shut again, leaving only the three of them and Ash. Carver sank onto a crate, shoulders shaking. "They were never supposed to be found," she said. Kerr crouched in front of her. "Who?" "The kids," she whispered. "The ones no one came looking for." Kerr felt a tightness in his chest. "Start talking." They sat in the dim basement, flashlights casting long, distorted shadows, while Carver told her story. Black Hollow Elementary had been struggling long before it closed. Declining enrollment. Budget cuts. Staff layoffs. When the state announced consolidation, the town protested, but quietly. Too quietly. There was an after-school program, Carver said, for kids whose parents worked late. It was run by volunteers. Trusted people. Kerr already knew where this was going. One of them, she continued, voice barely audible, was Thomas Reed. The name hit Kerr like a physical blow. Reed had been a teacher. Beloved. Coach. Mentor. He disappeared around the same time the school closed, leaving town without explanation. The official story was burnout. A fresh start. He had access to everything, Carver said. Basement included. Hale shifted uncomfortably. "Linda." "You knew," Carver snapped, anger flaring through her fear. "You knew something was wrong." Hale's silence was answer enough. "When the first child went missing," Carver said, Reed told us she'd been picked up early. By family. There was paperwork. Signatures. Forgeries, Kerr said. Yes, Carver whispered. But we didn't know that then. And when another child vanished, and another. Why didn't you go to the police? Kerr asked. Carver laughed bitterly. We did. Or we tried. Complaints disappeared. Reports got misfiled. Parents were told their kids had moved. Some of them were difficult families. Poor. Isolated. Kerr's stomach churned. Reed didn't act alone, Hale said quietly. Kerr turned to her. Say that again. Hale rubbed a hand over her face. He had help. Not in the way you're thinking. Not accomplices. Enablers. Name them. She hesitated. Again. Name them, Kerr repeated. Hale's eyes flicked to Ash, then back to Kerr. The town council. The superintendent. And yes, law enforcement. Kerr felt something inside him crack. You, he said. I covered up anomalies, Hale said. Missing reports. Inconsistencies. I told myself it was bureaucracy. That I was protecting the town from panic. And when Reed disappeared, Kerr asked. He left before the state audit, Hale said. Packed up and vanished. We let him go. You let him run. Yes. Kerr stood, pacing the small space. And the kids. Hale gestured weakly toward the pits. We told ourselves they'd left. That they were alive somewhere else. Lies are easier when you repeat them long enough. Ash suddenly stiffened, nose lifting. What is it? Kerr asked. The dog moved toward the far wall, where shelves leaned under the weight of old files. He sniffed, then scratched insistently at the concrete. No, Carver whispered. There's more. Kerr pushed the shelves aside. Behind them was another door, smaller, nearly invisible. Hale's breath caught. That wasn't there, she said. Yes, it was, Carver replied. We just pretended it wasn't. The door creaked open to reveal a narrow corridor, barely tall enough to stand. Pipes ran along the ceiling, dripping steadily. At the end, a single bulb flickered weakly. They moved forward as one. The room beyond was worse. Beds. Small ones. Rusted frames bolted to the floor. Stained mattresses. Chains affixed to the wall. Carver collapsed, sobbing openly now. Hale leaned against the doorway, face ashen. Kerr stood frozen, every muscle locked, as if moving might shatter him completely. Ash whined softly and pressed his head against Kerr's thigh. This wasn't just murder, Kerr said hoarsely. This was imprisonment. Torture. A notebook lay on a table in the corner. Kerr picked it up with gloved hands. Names. Dates. Progress notes. Reed's handwriting. Neat. Methodical. Behavior improving. Subject compliant. Non-viable. Disposal authorized. Kerr slammed the notebook shut, chest heaving. He wrote this like a report, Kerr said. Like an experiment. He believed he was saving them, Hale said faintly. From bad homes. From the world. And when they didn't fit his fantasy, Kerr demanded. Hale didn't answer. A sound echoed faintly through the building above, a car door slamming. Then another. Kerr glanced at his watch. Hours had passed without him noticing. Someone else knows, Kerr said. And they're coming. Hale straightened. Daniel, listen to me. If you take this outside the town. I already tried calling dispatch, Kerr cut in. No signal. That's not an accident. Carver looked up sharply. What do you mean? The repeater tower, Kerr said. It's controlled locally. Someone shut us out. Hale's face hardened. They're trying to contain it. They're trying to bury it again, Kerr said. Ash barked once, sharp. Footsteps approached above. Deliberate. Heavy. A voice carried down the stairs. Male. Come. Sheriff Hale, it called. We need to talk. Hale closed her eyes briefly. That's Deputy Morgan, she said. He's been with the department longer than I have. Kerr's grip tightened on his gun. Is he clean? Hale didn't answer. The footsteps stopped at the top of the basement stairs. "You have 5 minutes," Morgan said. "After that, we handle this our way." Kerr looked at Hale. "This is the betrayal you warned me about." "No," Hale said softly. "This is the cost of waiting too long." Ash growled, a low, feral sound that filled the room. Kerr knelt and placed a hand on the dog's head. "Good boy," he murmured. Then he looked up at Hale and Carver. "We're not leaving," he said. "Not without the truth." The lights flickered. Somewhere above them, the door unlocked. The basement lights went out completely. For a heartbeat, the darkness was absolute. No flicker, no glow, no mercy. The air felt heavier, as if the building itself had decided to press down and listen. Ash's growl deepened, vibrating through the floor. Kerr didn't move. He slowed his breathing, counting the seconds the way he'd been trained to do in places where panic could get you killed. He switched on his flashlight. A thin beam cut through the dark, catching dust, concrete, fear. Across the room, Hale did the same. Her hand shook. From the stairwell above came the sound of boots descending, unhurried. Someone confident enough to take their time. "Daniel," Deputy Morgan's voice echoed, calm and almost kind. "Let's not make this harder than it needs to be." Kerr angled his body slightly, placing himself between the corridor of cages and the stairs. "You shut down the repeater," Kerr said. "That's a felony." "So is what you're standing on," Morgan replied. "Difference is, I can still frame the story." Hale swallowed. "Don't do this, Morgan." Morgan's flashlight appeared first, then his face, late 40s, weathered, familiar. A man Kerr had shared coffee with. Jokes. Long, boring nights. Morgan took in the scene with a practiced glance. The pits. The exposed room. The notebook clutched in Kerr's hand. His expression tightened, but only for a second. "God help us," Morgan said quietly. "You knew," Kerr replied. Morgan didn't deny it. "I suspected." "That's not the same thing," Kerr said. "It is when suspicion keeps the town breathing," Morgan answered. "You think Black Hollow survives this? Think about the parents. The businesses. The people who had nothing to do with Reed." "They had everything to do with letting him," Kerr snapped. Morgan descended another step. "And what about you, Daniel? The city didn't send you here to clean house. They sent you because you were convenient." That one landed. Kerr felt Hale's eyes on him. "What's he talking about?" she asked. Kerr didn't answer immediately. He hadn't told anyone in Black Hollow the full story. About the body camera that had malfunctioned at exactly the wrong moment. About the suspect who died on the pavement while Kerr's hands were on him. About the internal review that ended without charges but never with peace. Morgan smiled faintly. "We all get second chances here," he said. "That's the deal. You don't dig too deep. We don't ask questions about where you came from." Hale looked at Kerr now, betrayal and understanding colliding on her face. "You never told me," she said. "I didn't think it mattered," Kerr replied. Morgan took another step down. Ash lunged, stopping short at the leash, barking violently. "Control your dog," Morgan warned. "He's doing his job," Kerr said. "So am I," Morgan replied. "Last chance. We close the door. We seal the room. State inspectors come later, on our terms. Limited access. Controlled narrative." "And the kids?" Kerr asked. "What story do they get?" Morgan's jaw tightened. "A quiet one." Carver suddenly stood. "No," she said. Her voice was hoarse but steady. "I won't let you do this again." Morgan glanced at her with open disdain. "Sit down, Linda." She didn't. "I lived with it for 12 years, she said. "Every town meeting. Every smile. Every lie. I made the call because I couldn't carry it anymore." "And now you're going to die with it?" Morgan asked coldly. Kerr saw the shift in Morgan's posture an instant before it happened. He moved. The basement erupted into motion, Ash surging forward, Kerr tackling Morgan sideways as a gunshot cracked, deafening in the confined space. The bullet punched into concrete, spraying dust and chips. Hale shouted. They hit the ground hard. Morgan fought like a man who knew he couldn't lose, elbow driving into Kerr's ribs, breath hot with adrenaline. Kerr rolled, grunting, barely keeping the gun away from his face. Ash clamped onto Morgan's forearm with a savage snarl. Morgan screamed. The gun clattered across the floor. Kerr scrambled, grabbed it, kicked it out of reach. He pressed his knee into Morgan's chest, gasping, shaking. "Don't," Morgan panted. "You don't know what comes next." Kerr looked into his eyes and saw it, real fear at last. "I know exactly what comes next," Kerr said. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. Hale froze. "That's not ours." Kerr frowned. Then relief hit him so hard his legs almost gave out. "I triggered my body cam's emergency uplink," he said. "Satellite. Old habit." Morgan's face fell. "You recorded everything," Hale whispered. "Every word," Kerr said. "Including yours." Hale closed her eyes. Ash released Morgan and backed away, standing guard, chest heaving. More sirens now. State troopers. Too many to ignore. Morgan laughed weakly. "You just buried this town." "No," Kerr said. "You buried it years ago. I'm just digging it up." The investigation broke Black Hollow open like a rotted beam. State police sealed the school. Forensic teams worked for weeks. They found more remains than Kerr had feared. More names than records had ever shown. Reed's notebook became evidence, then a national headline. Thomas Reed was caught 3 days later in a neighboring state, living under a different name, working at a private youth facility. He did not resist arrest. He did not deny anything. Hale resigned before she was formally charged. In her statement, she took responsibility for every cover-up she could name. It didn't save her from prosecution, but it spared others the lie that it had been one bad man alone. Morgan took a plea deal. Testified. Avoided a long sentence. The town never forgave him. Linda Carver disappeared from public life entirely. Black Hollow emptied slowly after that. Businesses closed. Families left. The school was demolished, the land returned to grass and silence. Kerr stayed until the end. On his last day, he returned to the field where the school had stood. Ash walked beside him, slower now, muzzle grayer. The wind moved through the tall grass, whispering. Kerr knelt and rested a hand on the ground. "I'm sorry it took so long," he said quietly. Ash sat beside him, leaning close. The town would never be whole again. Some damage didn't heal. It just stopped bleeding. As Kerr stood to leave, he felt the weight lift, not disappear, but settle into something he could carry. Truth had a cost. But silence cost more. They walked away together, leaving the field empty, the earth holding what remained, and finally, no longer pretending it didn't know.